Hey everybody, this is Jason from the Children's Museum of Houston, back once again to give you some ASTEAM videos to help you out in your journey of science. Today, we're going to be talking about the grosser side of science, which we're going to call gross science. It's pretty simple. Within this gross science, though, you kind of learn a lot about two different things. You learn about anatomy, but you also learn about our immune system. And a lot of the stuff that we talk about when it comes to our immune system is the forefront of our immune system, what protects us right away in our immune system. And because we always need to be protected from outside forces in the air, everywhere we go, water, anything, dirt, we have to have a lot of defense against it. So we're going to talk about some of those things today. First thing we're going to talk about today is our blood. Now, blood is a very, very interesting fluid. It's 60% water, almost 70% water in some cases, depending on the person you are. And within that blood are all kinds of different cells that help protect us from injury and from disease. There's even cells in there that provide the oxygen to our muscles and the other tissues in our body. So to understand blood in a very, very simple way, it's really cool to make some blood. Blood has been made for years and years and years in a synthetic kind of way like this. Ever seen a scary movie? Anytime you see blood in a scary movie, especially an older scary movie before CGI, they're using the same exact stuff we're going to use today to make blood. The main ingredient of our blood that we're going to make, and which you guys can make with your campers, is corn syrup. Now this corn syrup right here is a solution that we create. We take really, really, really thick corn syrup and we dilute it with water so that it actually looks more like the blood in your body. Now I know that this doesn't look much like the blood in your body, but it's close enough. And if we actually were makeup artists, we'd probably make it look even better. But we do what we can. Now, this corn syrup represents the plasma in your blood. That plasma is mainly made up of the liquid that we talked about, the water we talked about earlier. Plasma is really important because it holds everything else in the blood together. Now, when you give blood, if you ever have given blood, sometimes they ask for plasma, sometimes they ask for platelets. I'm going to talk about those platelets in a moment. But plasma is what you generally give when you give blood. So we took our corn syrup, we poured 2 ounces of plasma or corn syrup into the measuring cup, and we're going to pour that now into a bag. It's really thick because blood's thick. There we go. Now, to a lot of people, our blood could pretty much be done. It's like a little bag of blood, doesn't it? But we got a lot more things to put inside of it. One of the most important things we have to put inside of it is a red blood cell. Now, I know this doesn't look much like a red blood cell right now, but it's going to look like one in a moment. If you're going to be making this blood with your campers, at home, with your kids, whatever, you need to remember that there are 3 kinds of cells in your blood, but there are 2 main kinds of cells in your blood. There's red blood cells and there's white blood cells. Red blood cells are 5 to 1 to white blood cells. There's a lot more red blood cells in your body. And what do the red blood cells do? They are the cells that provide oxygen to your muscles. So when you breathe in, that oxygen you get into your lungs, your blood flows to the lungs, grabs that oxygen, goes around the body to the different muscles, takes the carbon dioxide out of the muscles, goes back to the lungs, and that carbon dioxide is expelled from the body. Extremely important job that these red blood cells do. Now, red blood cells have a very interesting shape. You kind of want to take your pipe cleaner and sort of roll it like a little pancake. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So you want to just roll it up so it looks like I said, like a little pancake. And then maybe tie it around, and you have yourself a red blood cell. That's what it looks like. We're going to pop these red blood cells in here, and you have your sufficient amount of red blood cells. I'm not going to do all 5 of them for you because that's just watching me roll things for a good 3 or 4 minutes. Okay? But you get the idea. You want to put all 5 in when you're doing it. So then your next blood cell is your white blood cell. White blood cells look different than red blood cells. They're not as flat looking. They're actually more like just like a rolled up ball. But they're also very, very important. Your white blood cells are actually your first defense against any kind of disease in your body. They actually attack foreign entities in your body. Things like bacteria that aren't good, viruses that aren't good, stuff like that. So when you're doing, like, say, different checkups at the doctor, and let's say you're getting a little bit older in the years and you're getting tested for things like, do you have a possibility you're not feeling so well, you might have cancer? That's one of the first things they look for. They look for how elevated your white blood cell count is. If your white blood cell count gets too high, that means your body's fighting too hard against something. So you really don't want your white blood cells to actually start to go over that 5-to-1 ratio within the body. You want it to actually stay the way it is. So if you ever go to the doctor and they're saying, hey, your white blood cells are elevated, you need to get yourself checked out. So like I said, with the white blood cell, it's more just like a ball. So you're just going to kind of crumble it up like this instead of making it like kind of perfectly flat like the other one. So it looks more like, just like a little ball like that. And you're going to go ahead and put that inside your bag of blood. All right? So like I said, you would normally put all 5 of the red blood cells, and like I said, I'm not going to take that time right now because it's just watching me fold things, and you put 1 white blood cell in. The next thing you're going to put in is what you would call your platelets. And your platelets are going to be this rice right here. Platelets are cells in a way, but they're not complete cells. They're a little bit different. They're sort of like what we would call cell fragments. And platelets have a really, really important job. If you ever cut yourself in any kind of way, your platelets go to that cut and they begin to naturally stitch it up. So basically your platelets are what causes you to have scabs and what causes your skin to close back up after you cut yourself. So if you notice that you're not able to do that as well, like if you cut yourself lightly and you bleed and you bleed and you bleed and you bleed, you might have a problem with your platelets. And that's could also be hemophilia. And that's a very, very dangerous disease because you can cut yourself very slightly and literally bleed to death because you're unable to get yourself sewn up. So one of the things where doctors and science sort of imitates natural things is when we cut ourselves too deeply or too wide or too long, our platelets can't do the job all the way. So what do? We use stitches to stitch ourselves back up. And then the platelets will do the job from there. So what you want to do is you want to take a half teaspoon, not a full teaspoon, a half teaspoon, and because you don't have that many platelets in your blood, and kind of just put it inside. And then you seal it up. And then you kind of mix it up and around and try to get everything sort of mixed together, and you have yourself a little bag of blood that you can take home with you, or your campers can take home with you. And then they can actually point to every little piece and explain to their parents, hey, this is a red blood cell, it does this. This is a white blood cell, it does this. These are platelets, it does this. And everything together is the plasma, which does this. So that's a pretty simple activity, but there's a lot of good science behind it. Kids are having a lot of fun with this. And that's about all for this one. We're going to go ahead and do snot one next, so stick around for that one. And hope to see you soon and have a great day.